Hi everyone, Sheila Butler with Successful Women Talk. Want to say thank you so much for joining me today. And on the show today, we have a bit of a firecracker. We have Jessica Kupferman. She is a brand strategist, techie superstar, pop culture know-it-all, trend spotter, and hustler. So help me welcome Jessica. Hey there.
Hi, how are you?
Good. How are you?
Good. Thank you so much for having me.
Well, I appreciate it. I've been following your work and your show for a while, so I couldn't wait to have you on the show for many reasons, but one of which is I think you're just kind of fascinating and funny, and I love funny.
Thanks.
Why don't we start off with the very first question I usually ask everyone, which is, tell us a little bit about yourself and your background and how that kind of got you to where you are today.
Ooh. Well, that is quite the story.
That's a loaded question, isn't it?
It is a loaded question, especially how you get to where you are today. I mean, like most people, as I get older, that story gets so much longer, doesn't it? I started out wanting to do, I guess, English teaching and then realized that was going to be a lot of reading in college. So switched to journalism, realized that I was really only good at the feature articles and not the news ones, which I didn't care about that much. And then switched to and then ended up teaching or selling advertising when I left college. I started out selling internet advertising, banner ads on the local newspaper sites, Philly.com, DelawareOnline.com. But a lot of people didn't have a website. And so I'd go try and sell them a banner ad where they were like, where's it going to lead to? We don't have, because it was like 1998, 99. So I started teaching them how to do websites and stuff like that and what it was for and what they would put it on there and how it would look and things. And I ended up really enjoying that part of my job so much more that when I got an opportunity actually many years later in 2005 to go back to school for design and then did online school for design, print and web so that I could help people, increase their marketing look a little bit. And then when social media came about, I decided I was going to try and mesh it all together because it was all really important that it go together, which I don't know if people are, I guess they're getting it now, but back then they were like, well, I have this, and then I have this, and then I have this, and they never talked to one another. And then eventually I just sort of, like you, as online things do, you sort of, I guess, evolve. And so I realized that, even though I love doing one-on-one stuff, I love talking to people in a broad way so much more. It goes back to the journalism and the communication thing. So I have a show right now called JKTV, which I'm actually morphing into something new in the next couple of weeks. It's going to incorporate every aspect of women and having their own business. So I'm really excited about that because it's going to cover being a woman entrepreneur and success and things like that. But I also want to talk about the stuff that we don't really talk about, like where do you get the coolest glasses and like, if you're doing a lot of video, like why are my teeth not looking as what, what kind of stuff can I use and what kind of lighting do I need? And, just stuff that isn't just how are you successful now? Do you know what I mean? Yeah.
Well, I think that's fun and informational because, like you said, it's not something that you normally see in your podcast playlist. It's how did I do this? Boom, boom, boom. But you're taking that. Yes, you're still going to provide information, but with a little bit of a twist because it is important. Right before we started recording, you and I were talking about hair and how distracting that can be. And we know we are women, so we always want to know how we look. Not that men don't, but you know what I'm saying. So how do we look and what looks better and what kind of lighting, etc. Something, all of that's really important.
There's a lot of aspects of being a woman business owner that men don't have to deal with just because of our own spousal standards. If you just decide you want to be a business owner, how does the spouse feel about that? And then what kind of expectations are they giving you? And do you still run to every doctor's appointment or are they required to help you because now you own your own business? And like what you expect versus what he or she expects is, can often be difficult. And so it's not always just about how do you grow your email list? A lot of times we struggle with things that are like, how do you get your spouse to sign on to the fact that like you cannot leave the house from 8 to 5 just because you're home? You know,
I am so glad you brought that up. And before I started my online business, I had an offline business. So it's almost like when you go to an office Offline, you have that tangible products. We're an offline product-based business. So it was seen more as that's a real business.
Right.
But when I'm doing it online, I am just as busy doing just as many things. It's just not viewed the same. I don't know how to change that perception. It's like my mom will call in the middle of the afternoon. Why didn't you answer my call? Mom, I'm in the middle of I'm working right now. We'll call you right back. Well, what could you be doing?
Working.
Yeah, exactly.
Or my children, same thing. Like, as your children get older and they just look and they're going, well, you're just on Facebook. Why can't we just run out and do this? And I'm like, I am talking to a client on Facebook. Bug off.
Yeah.
It's really hard. They really don't see you. And I mean, part of it is that if you're not in an actual little office, that does help, as if you like go to an office. Whereas I tend to go, sometimes if I'm watching TV, you're doing something else in the process. And it looks like I'm more relaxed than I actually am. So
that is another terrific point, because within the last few weeks, I've actually gone back to my office where I used to just take my laptop and work anywhere in the house. And I think people found that to be easier to distract me, or not intentionally, but I think it seemed more, she's just playing on her computer. I'm not playing on my computer. I'm actually working. But in my office, and my kids are only 4 and 3. But Casey, my oldest, the other day said, "Hey, Mommy, when you get done working in your office, can I show you something?" So we're starting to set that up.
Yes, mine are older. Mine are in high school, and so they pretty much think if I'm on my laptop, I'm farting around. But the truth is, I'm pretty much never doing that. I don't even know what I would read if I had a chance to go just read any website I wanted.
For fun. I was saying the other day, I was thinking, somebody was talking about they were watching their nightly movie or something, or reading a novel. And I'm like, how long has it been since I've actually read something for fun? And I know I need to do that. But, I have only so many hours that I can put toward that during a day. And it's just different. I can't remember free time. All of my free time, I try and think of something productive I can be doing during that free time.
Me too. Or I save up PDFs that I can read if I have free time. Or I load up my Kindle with business books in case I go on vacation. And then, of course, in the airport, you're like, ugh, I don't want to read that. I'm on vacation.
I'm going to go get a smut novel.
Yeah, exactly.
So let's talk about this. How did you go from doing something online as far as your own business? So you were working for other people initially, and then how did you go, okay, never mind, I'm going to do this myself. I will, and here I am.
Well, actually, I mean, as a designer, I have certain benefits that I think a lot of people who are trying to do online businesses don't have, and that is I can contract. So there are companies here in Philadelphia, the Creative Group and the Boss Group, where they'll put a contract in for you to work for 6 weeks, X amount of dollars an hour. And so I didn't have to get a full-time job. I could contract a little bit, and then I got a big contract at Subaru corporate headquarters in 2008. And I was doing all of their email design, and it left me with a lot of free time, actually. So I didn't have to get rid of my business altogether, because it was even though I was there 40 hours a week, I was really only working 25. So I spent the rest of the time doing webinars and working on my clients. I would bring my laptop, do stuff for them on their computer, do stuff for me on my computer. And then I was able to ramp up my business, because when I knew when my contract ended 2 years, in 2010, I would have a full-on business ready to go, and I wouldn't miss a paycheck. Yeah. That's what I was trying to do. So I took that contract, I took that time, and made sure that I was, and actually I was lucky, because 2008 is really when Facebook started to get popular. I just started friending everybody I ever met, because I knew I was going to be on my own eventually, and somebody knows somebody that needs business cards, websites, letterheads, stuff like that. So I made it my business to connect with everybody that I could on there, so that when I left, I'd still be talked about and marketed and stuff like it never changed anything. Yeah. So I mean, I don't think a lot of people have that opportunity where they're being paid and still have a lot of free time. And I mean, I did do a lot of work at night. My husband and children will say that I worked my own business probably from 6 to 11 every night.
Yeah.
And you can do that, of course. It's like a working 2 jobs.
Absolutely. I like that you said that, because I was reading Pat Flynn's new book, and he had a little video on there, and it was something about if he could tell his 21-year-old self something. And one of the biggest things he said was, meet as many people as you can. Connect with as many people as you can, because those things, it's almost like you're setting yourself up for success. And maybe you can help somebody out one day, or maybe they can help you, vice versa. But it was meet as many people as you can, kind of like you did. You said you friended as many people as you could on Facebook, anybody that you'd ever met, because you never know. You never know where your next client is going to come from.
And also, I figured out a way really early to grab all their email addresses from Facebook, and I started out with a really healthy email list.
That's
I mean, like
great.
Even a couple hundred, 500 people, if you can extract that from Facebook, those people, because they knew you in elementary school or high school or college, they're not going to delete your email. And then eventually it became relevant to whatever they were doing, or they would pass it to someone. And so I can't tell you how many clients I've had over the years from just referral, just people I went to camp with, or people who knew someone I went to camp with, which is great.
Camp paid off, see?
I've almost never had to really make an effort to branch out and market like that.
That's
because
wonderful.
I've done that, yeah.
That also speaks volumes for you and your work.
Well, I hope so.
Yeah. Hey, let me ask you this. So what is a typical day for you? So how do you work? So what is your framework? So working from home, are you an organized person? Let's talk about your productivity, organization, and how you get work done.
I work so hard to be organized, but I have to say it's probably not a perfect system, because I end up doing a lot of different things because I have different clients, and then I'm trying to work on my own business. And then actually right now I'm producing a show, like not an online show, but an offline show, like a theater show. And so the last couple of weeks have been just putting out fires, but I have really bad ADHD and I take medication for it. So I'm really always trying to just keep myself as organized as possible. And unfortunately, everyone says not to do this, but my inbox becomes my to-do list. I delete everything or read everything that doesn't require a to-do, and I leave the stuff, even if I've read it, I leave it unread. And I start from the bottom, the oldest, and work my way to the newest. So
it works for you, though.
It works for me. And then, but in addition to that, I use Google, and it's Gmail, and then I use Google Tasks for the stuff that I have to get done that day, because the inbox doesn't always remind me of all the stuff that I have to complete for someone that day, because they've been waiting so long and they're going to be super pissed. So that's my emergency list. I have hired a VA to help me with some of the tasks so that I don't have to do everything. Because I think I probably would die if I was doing all of the editing and the taping and the stuff for my show, and how to put it up, and how to market it, and that was just insane.
Yeah.
So I have someone who does the tasks that are repetitive for me every week, stuff, regarding the show and regarding some of the social media stuff. And I also do a lot of automation. I will say this, I know this isn't answering your everyday question, but there are days where I set up long lists of, for example, funny tweets that I can just put on rotation in Social Oomph, because I don't want to just do the tweeting other people's blogs, and I don't just want to do my own thing. So it's sort of I'm trying to mix it up, but not have to actually be there while I'm doing it, if that makes sense.
Well, I love that. And I love that you mentioned automation, because I think it's important. I was talking to a potential client yesterday, and she said she follows some people, some mompreneurs, and they're so busy on Facebook and doing all of these they're trying to contests and yada, yada, yada. And she said, I don't think they're running their businesses. And she goes, I don't know how I can be on Facebook 5 and 6 hours a day. And I said, well, you shouldn't be.
No.
I said, you could really get it down to you could do your social media in about 30 minutes a day if you planned correctly. Automate some of those things. I think it's a great idea. Automate as many things in businesses as I can.
Yeah. I know there's more that I could do. There's definitely more that I could do that I don't do. And as far as getting up every day, I wake up, I eat, I work. I try to do as many calls as I can before my kids get home from school. They get home at 2:30, and even though they're in high school, they demand a lot of just attention or just whatever. They want to talk to me about their day. I don't want to be on their phone when they get home.
Yeah.
So all the calling and talking to people I do from 9 to 3, and then all the design and writing and stuff that doesn't require someone else involved, I do from 3 to 9.
Yeah. And that's some of those things, like I do the same thing. I kind of structure
You know?
things that I know need my full attention early in the day. Later in
Right.
the day, things that I can have other chaos
Right.
going on and still function. So
Yeah.
let's talk about that. You are a mom of teenagers, and so you've been doing this for a while because they didn't get to become teenagers right away. So
Right.
how do you do the work-life rhythm? How do you do that? And what is your guide or advice you would give somebody that's maybe just starting out or trying to find that rhythm, not balance, because I don't think I believe in the whole you have to give up one for another, but what about that rhythm?
I mean, I think establishing boundaries is really important at an early age. You know, children will respect the fact that you're on the phone with a client. So they, you know, and my children especially tend to be noisy because they're mine. And, you know, and so they will speak loudly on the phone or come down and be like, Mom, and, you know, and if I'm on the phone, they're clam up immediately. They know now they cannot bother me when I'm on the phone or death will happen. So
there's your rhythm.
Yeah, so that's part of it. So part of it is setting up really good boundaries and making sure that they never get crossed for any reason. And a lot of that is having to explain how much people pay for my time or what the opportunity is worth that I'm, you know, like when I get off the phone, you know, that person spent X amount of dollars for my time. If you interrupt them, they're going to be angry. It's not fair. You know, you're not being fair to them. And that money pays for you to go to the movies or whatever.
Right.
So, I mean, as far as a rhythm, it was a lot easier to say I had a better rhythm when they were younger because they had a very set time that they had to. I mean, I guess they still do. But when they're young, you know, they come home from school, they have a perfect schedule. They come home from school, they do their homework, they watch TV, we eat dinner, they have a bath, they go to bed. Now that they're older, I sort of don't see them. Yeah. They sort of come home and disappear like into the depths of hell. And I don't see them at all. And so I have some alarms set on my phone, actually. I have one at like 4:30 where I just check in with them. Are you doing your homework? What stuff do you have to do tonight? How are you feeling? What do you want to eat for dinner? And then I see them at dinner sometimes. I mean, my daughter actually babysits, so sometimes she just works till 7, and then I eat with my son and then come back to her, you know. So when they're teenagers, you have to be flexible because they just do so many things.
Yeah, I love that. And I love that you set an alarm. And I think some people go, oh, I should always remember my kids. Well, we're human, right? Set an alarm, like you said, take advantage of that. Go check to see what's going on.
Yeah, I mean, and it's just so that I mean, it's not just to make sure they're not misbehaving, but just to keep them on task, kind of.
Sure. No, I love that.
Because they'll sit up there with Pop-Tarts and watch SpongeBob if I don't go up there and say, why do you have food in your room? Do your laundry and clean up your room. You know, like I have to keep them on task too. So
I love that. Now, let me ask you this. So when I had my offline business, and it was a different type of business, but we were pretty structured and pretty professional looking. And even when there was just 2 of us, when someone called into the automated system, it was push 1 for accounting, so we had all these 5, all the lines went to 2 people, right?
Yeah.
And we didn't have a lot of humor in our business. But I see now that telling stories and being personal and showing people the personal side of you being human and putting some humor in it makes a big difference with branding. So let's talk a little bit about that. I know you use that a bit in your business as well. So let's talk a bit about that.
I use it a ton in my business. In fact, the corporate world, I often felt like when I was working at Subaru or other corporations that I was constantly being stifled or that I was going to be in trouble for being myself because I can be a little bit impulsive and I have a kind of a quick, I don't know, like this comes from my dad, but like a lot of my humor can be teasing someone. Either, I don't want to say insulting them, but you know what I mean? Like you can sort of like tease somebody. And in the corporate world, that's not always appreciated. So I find that the humor, though, really does help when you have your own. I don't know, like sometimes I feel like the more personal I am, the more people I think want to work with me. Yeah. And I'm glad for that. I mean, that makes me really happy because I would hate to continue to have to be perfect all the time. And I have a really good friend actually that comes to mind that is perfect all the time. She's always talking about how much she got done that day, what healthy eating she did, how much exercise she got in. And I'm just like, oh my God, I'm going to die of boredom from you. I would just like you to trip and fall on your face one time, just one time, please.
That's great.
So it makes her, makes her seem almost inhuman. And then I feel crappy about myself in comparison, where I feel like the more foibles I share, the more people are like, me too, you know?
Yeah, I think it's almost like a relief. Oh my God, it's not just me. It's other people.
And then it's okay to be a mess.
And like it or not, people want to do business with people. And that's when I am out doing business consulting. It's the same thing. I'm not saying that you have to be, have a lot of profanity on your side or anything like that. I'm just saying be human. Let them see you.
It's funny that you say that about business consulting, because one of the things about like when a business to business company will ask me for social media advice, and they're like, but we're not talking about people. We're a business that works with their businesses. I'm like, but you got to appeal to that guy who's going to make the decision to hire you. You have to be the guy to inspire that guy. You can't just be company to inspire companies. Somebody's going to have to write that check.
I agree. I love that.
Yeah.
Hey, I want to play something for you because I was watching one of your videos.
Oh, gosh.
And so I got this for you. Can you hear it?
Yeah.
So I hear this is your favorite karaoke song.
Yeah. I'm good at it for some reason.
I love on your show, and if you guys haven't checked out Jessica's show, you need to, because it's fun. I like that it's fun, and I think it's relaxing. But you do like a fire question session at the end, and I love that. And do you do that with everybody?
I try to, yeah.
Yeah, it's fun. So what's your one unique, useless thing that you have that other than this? Because I know you do.
Yeah, I can bend my finger. That's not really a talent, though. It's just kind of creepy. The one talent I have is, like, if I'm watching TV, and I don't even have to be watching it. I could be totally staring at my computer, and if a commercial comes on with a voiceover, I know that actor in 2 seconds. We'll just be sitting there, and then, like, a Honda commercial come on, I'll be like, that's Stanley Tucci. That's Julia Louis-Dreyfus. That's Jim Krasinski. Like, I just know them. And I don't know if it's from so many years of watching Disney cartoons and, like, in Tarzan, like, I think it started with, like, Aladdin, probably. That was the first time where, like, Robin Williams was the genie. And you're just, like, enthralled. I mean, it probably went back further than that, but that was the first time as an adult I remember.
I love that because I can't tell you anything that ever happened in history, but I can sing almost every song that happened in the 80s.
That is a talent right there.
That's a talent right there. And it's useless information. I can remember all of this useless information, but ask me something about history, I can't tell you.
Now, do you know when in the 80s those songs came out? Because that would be something.
I can get close. So when my friends and I are sitting around, this was BC, back before children, when we just kind of hung out and had adult
I love that BC. I'm totally stealing that.
Yeah, BC. I do that. I was BC. So it was a totally different life for me. I love my life now. It's just different. So we used to sit around and we would play that whole game, name that band. And also you had to kind of name the year. It's kind of fun.
Ooh, can we play that? Because you know what, Sheila? My husband can do the same thing. If I play anything, really anything, but he's very good with classic rock where it's like he needs like the first note and he'll be able to tell me what song it is.
Isn't that funny? And I guess it's because, and I'm sad now, like I never listen to music. I'm always listening to podcasts.
Me too!
That's all I do. I know. My kids are like, what are you listening to, Mommy? Oh, just a podcast.
I know. 18,000 songs in my iTunes from all the CDs I've ripped. Never listened to any of it.
I'm the same way.
Just completely. And I mean, you know how long it took to rip those CDs too? And I had to employ at the time my kids were like 10 and 11. And I'm like, take the CD out, put it in, I had to teach them how to stack up the things and pay them to get rid of all the plastic.
And you know what? No one will ever appreciate that pain you went through because now there's things like Pandora.
I know.
It's all there. Like, we have all those skills. Like, I can remember back, not that everybody cares about this, but back when I got my first CD player, so it was like a single disc. And then my sister graduated the next year and got one that had like 3 discs.
Oh, and you were burning with envy.
And we were burning for hours. I would just spend hours. And now it's like, now I have Pandora. Now it's a push of a button on my handheld computer.
And God forbid you went to college with someone that had 6 and they were in charge of all 6. They were setting the mood for the entire week with those 6. You were going to hear Alice in Chains, Stone Temple Pilots, Pearl Jam for weeks because they had 6 and they would just keep it on rotation 24 hours a day. Or God forbid they put in 6 Dave Matthews CDs at once. And then you were just like, I can't anymore. I love Dave Matthews.
That is terrific. Hey, let me ask you, if you were going to give someone some advice on branding, getting out there with your brand, and incorporating your social media, what is the thing that you see that people miss the most, and what advice would you give someone?
Oh my gosh, so many things. For branding, I mean, branding, I feel like you have to really work hard to get it to reflect yourself, but you're always sorry when you don't. Never copy somebody else. And there's so many people out there that I feel like copy. In fact, I've seen so many Marie Forleo website copycats.
Yeah.
And I mean, I guess it's because I'm a designer. You can probably say, no, I see it too, but like, I immediately know it's a copycat. Yep. Immediately. Danielle Laporte. I immediately know when that's a copycat of DanielleLaporte.com. Stop doing that. It cannot possibly be a reflection of you if it's a reflection of her. You know, and just because you change the colors doesn't mean it's going to reflect you instead.
Or they'll try and use a font, like maybe they can't get her cursive font, so they'll try and get something close and it looks terrible.
Terrible. I mean, yes. And it's like, don't even bother. Honestly, there are so many gorgeous fonts out there that are free that you can embed on your site using like Google Web Fonts that it's like, why would you ever copy somebody else? There's just so much opportunity out there. I think people just don't know how to do it though.
Yeah.
And they want to do it cheap and they want to do it quick and they give like a designer, here, I just want you to make it similar to this.
Yeah.
And they take that so literally, a designer, because we need sometimes really explicit instruction.
Yeah.
And they don't know how to say it. So
sure.
I would say dive deep, find your favorite colors, your favorite fonts. And fonts tell a story. You know, each font is so corporate or so funky or so worldly or so Spanish or so Celtic. You know, don't choose the wrong one just because you like the way it looks.
And don't have 15 different ones on your website.
Oh, no, 3 at the most. I totally agree. That's terrible too.
I agree.
So, I mean, but branding is really important. I feel like people breeze by it because they're so busy trying to make the money. Good point. You can breeze by it at first, but come back to it and make it really reflect you because it's always a mistake when you don't, I think.
I am not a designer, but my thought is if you're not sure, go simple until you are sure.
I agree.
Because at least that doesn't look as complicated and as confusing.
Simple and clean. You can always upgrade. You know, your branding and your website especially is always going to change. It's a moving target, they say.
Absolutely.
And it's true.
Hey, if someone wanted to connect with you, where would you want to send them?
Right now, I would send them to jesskupferman.com, and the last name is KUPFERMAN.com, or Facebook, facebook.com/Jessica Kupferman. But pretty much if you Google that, you'll find everything that I do. But yeah, jesskupferman.com is my website right now.
Awesome. I appreciate your time. It's been fun and entertaining and educational.
Thank you. For me as well. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Take care. You too.
Thanks. You know, the world needs you, so don't underestimate your greatness. If you liked today's episode, you can spread the word by using the share buttons on the side. And if you want to learn how to simplify your life and your business, join the community and get our free updates directly to your inbox.